Hello.
And welcome
to Nightmare Nation,
the paranormal themed podcast where we talk about haunted places around the world.
And scary things.
And demons.
And ghosts.
And haunted houses.
And witches.
And cults.
And seances.
And aliens.
And UFOs.
And all around creepy shit.
Oh, you stop that.
Do you see how we wrapped it up nicely with a neat little bow at the end?
So good on that one. We didn't even get effed up.
No, we didn't stop and be like, panic.
Help.
Nope. I just wrapped her up with a neat little bow. And
look at us wrapping neat bows.
That never happens on this podcast.
Doesn't.
Not once. not never. So we're here to talk about scary things and, you know, hopefully anything that sort of falls under that keeps you awake at night umbrella, we want to talk about it because we find it fascinating. And
that's
hopefully,
so cool.
If you listen to our podcast, hopefully you do too. Otherwise, what are you doing here?
Exactly.
Go away.
Get out of here.
Or don't.
I mean,
still hang out,
listen,
I guess.
because the first half of our podcast is just kind of nonsensical bullshit.
Well, it's also sprinkled in pretty generously throughout the episodes as well.
Yes, exactly.
We
so
like
if you're
tangents.
here for that, then that's fine.
Yeah.
You can just kind of like go 10 seconds forward until you get to the parts that you like.
Wait, you mean not everyone is here for our random nonsensical ramblings?
Shit.
Damn, what are we even doing with this podcast?
We're giving you guys some cool shit and information that you want to learn about, that we're telling you about.
Like scary movie recommendations, first of all.
Okay.
Yes.
Timmy's been on my ass.
Okay.
FYI, Timmy's my brother.
Okay.
FYI, we're podcasting in my closet again.
Oh yeah, we're back to the second location, which I feel like is almost now our
first
home location. We've migrated.
Sorry.
Also, the audio is better in your closet.
It's
I
so
shit you
good
not.
in here.
It's better.
Just because it's so muffled.
I know, it's wonderful.
Okay, anyway, so Timmy has been on my ass because he watched The Witch. But it's like the Vivitch.
Yeah, the one that I've been telling you to watch for freaking
and he's
weeks.
like yelling at me. I was like, oh yeah, Annie's coming over tomorrow. We can watch it.
Yeah, it's so good.
And then we didn't watch it yesterday because we were watching Ink Master and Pitch Perfect. So
way better.
He's like, he texted me today. He's like, did you watch The Witch yesterday? I was like, no, we ended up watching Ink Master and this and Pitch Perfect. He's like, he sent me a GIF as like this angry face, like, come on. I was like, okay, she's coming over tonight. We watch scary movies and we play games so we can put it on in the background.
So here's the thing, though. This is not one of those...
I probably have to watch it.
Yeah, it's one of those scary movies where it's very much just like a foreboding. Like, there's not jump scares. It's not like loud in-your-face music. It's not like ghosts popping out at you. It's very much a like atmospheric, subtle horror movie where it's this like slow building, creeping sense of dread. Mm-hmm. And you have to like pay attention to it just because it's not one of those like in your face horror movies. Okay. It's very like tasteful and artful, but not in like a boring way. Like I really don't think it's boring. Other people do, but I think it's fascinating. So yeah, no, we really need to watch The Witch sometime.
Okay.
If it doesn't happen tonight, we will carve out a specific you and me hang out, no board games involved, watch this movie night. Okay. It's worth it.
We have a girls' night.
Yeah. Also, I think I told you we started watching the Wrong Turn series, apparently.
The, like, 7 movies?
Yeah. So, I have seen the cover art for this movie, like, probably 150 times when scrolling through random IMDb horror movie lists.
And Wrong Turn?
Wrong Turn. I think the first one came out in, like, 2003. And I thought that was, like, the end of it. I just thought it was Wrong Turn.
I've never seen this.
That's the new one. So you're looking...
Oh.
So that was what I was going to say, is I think 2020 is going to be a good year for horror movies because that they, like... Apparently there's, like, 7 Wrong Turn movies, and they, like, rebooted it and, like, reinvigorated it and did a new one that just came out this year in January. They're super cheesy, over the top. It's like these backwoods, deformed, inbred cannibals eat unsuspecting hikers, all that great cliche shit. And there's like 7 of those apparently, so Anders and I are going to like start a marathon of those. But also coming out this year, we've got A Quiet Place 2.
Oh, that's right.
We have a Conjuring 3.
Oh, fuck.
We have, I think, another Insidious movie, right? Like, wasn't there another one?
I don't know.
Or did I totally make that up? It's possible.
I've only watched 1 and 2. Also, I'm really excited. Like, as much as COVID sucks, it's also super nice for movies now because, like, every streaming platform is now going to any new movies are going to be on that.
Yeah.
So, like, the Paramount Network, they're coming out with their own streaming service.
They already have it.
Do they?
Yeah. That's where we've been watching Ink Master. Is it on our Paramount app?
I have... Oh, fuck me.
Yeah. Oh, yeah?
Because I'm watching it through Amazon through CBS streaming.
Last time I checked, which was like probably a month and a half ago at this point, they had it, like all of it.
Oh, fuck.
Like all 13 seasons
Dude, I
on
need
Paramount.
to go look at Paramount. Because,
yeah.
Oh, fuck. Because they had ads for Paramount Network on the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And I was so excited.
Yeah. No, it's like already out.
Oh,
They might just be adding stuff to it, I guess. I don't know. But
well,
yeah.
okay, well, I'm going to have to look at that.
Or maybe they're doing a new app or something. I don't know.
Oh.
There's something already existing that we have for sure.
Oh, okay.
But
like, I'm so excited because everything is just coming out at home.
I know.
Like, yes, renting it. We re-rented 2 different movies. No, we rented one, and there's another one we want to. It's like $20 for either 24 or 48 hours. So, I mean, like, it's expensive, but that's a lot less expensive than having to go to a movie theater to spend $20 on your tickets and then another, like, $40 on fucking concessions.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
And then you don't have to go anywhere.
I think you mean at least $9,000 for popcorn.
Yes.
Let's not pretend like it's anything less than that because
but, you
it's
know,
not.
Fucking movie theater popcorn
Oh my God, it's
is
the
best.
Shit. It's the best.
If I could bring home a bag of that shit, I would.
I do that for Anders all the time is like his special, like if he's having a shitty week or like for Valentine's Day or like some special occasion, I will just go and like order a large popcorn and bring it home with me.
Oh, that's so cute.
Yeah.
I'm like talking like a big bag. Like a big bag.
We used to be able to do that in college. Like if we called the local movie theater and I'd be like, hey, I'm a resident assistant and I'm throwing a party for my like floor tonight. Like, can I get a bag of popcorn? And it was like $15. And it was like
seriously?
A freaking like 2 garbage bags worth of popcorn.
For $15?
Yeah, it was amazing.
Holy
it was like
shit.
Or maybe it was like 20, but still, it was stupid cheap. It was
That's
the best.
Awesome.
Yeah, I used to do that in college, and then 5 people would show up to my movie night, and then I'd have popcorn for like 6 weeks.
Of course,
it's amazing.
It's perfect.
Yeah, I do kind of miss going to the theater, and like when we went. We would always go on Tuesday nights because Marcus Theater has $5 Tuesdays.
Yep.
And then a large popcorn is only like $4. So we saved a shit ton of money doing that.
That's awesome.
But, yeah. Yeah, no, it is nice. And there's a ton of great horror movies coming out this year, guys.
I'm so excited. We're
get
going to
ready.
see every one of them when they come out. And so we have to make special dates.
And we'll report back to you on our thoughts.
Yeah.
Because
and
we
feelings.
know how much you care about those.
Yeah.
It's what you live for.
It is.
I get it.
Uh-huh.
I totally do. Well,
All
we
of
will
you.
not fail to deliver.
We will not.
Okay.
Because we're here. We're here to tell you these things.
Speaking of telling things.
Ooh, you guys, this is a recommendation from my coworker, Mary.
Thank you, Mary.
Thank you, Mary.
This is an interesting story because it's like a shit ton of like legend.
Yeah.
And I don't feel like there's a whole lot of concrete like what's really true and what's not. And the story's been spun 100 different ways to Sunday over the last 2 centuries.
Years.
So who knows what the fuck happened?
I know. And she said, so she's down in Tennessee right now, and unfortunately she didn't go. She was gonna go to the Bell Caves, but it was too cold.
Spoiler, we're talking about the Bell Witch.
Oh, talking about the Bell Witch, friends.
Also, I'm Annie.
Hey, I'm Anna.
Hey, what's up?
It's us. We're here. So we're talking about the Bell Witch. And when she told me about this, I'm like, this sounds super familiar, and I feel like I've heard it. And I wanted to watch the episode, so Ghost Adventures has gone and, like, investigated the Bell Witch, and I wanted to watch it. And Hulu has Ghost Adventures. And I went on, and it was, like, season 10, episode 5 or something. Fucking Hulu, season 11 is where it starts.
Really?
Like, are you freaking kidding me?
Assholes.
Come on.
Of course.
And then, of course, on Amazon, you have to friggin' buy the seasons. I'm like, well, I'm not going to buy a season of Ghost Adventures because that's just ridiculous.
Interesting. I didn't know that any like major TV shows had done coverage of the story. I mean, it's interesting because I think I'd heard the name, but I didn't know anything about the story. And apparently it's like one of the most famous sort of like haunting folklore stories of like our entire country. And I'm like, how the fuck did I not know this? Like, whoa, what?
And so we're here to tell you about it. And because of the multiple legends, I went with the original legend, and that's all you're going to get tonight. There's many other, like, side stories of people who have experienced the Bell Witch.
Yep.
And just, like, all sorts of little snippets here and there. I'm like, if I had to talk about all that, we'd be sitting here for, like, 3 hours.
In other words, we're going with the synopsis on Wikipedia.
Yes.
Am I right?
Precisely. That is what you're getting.
Just to be real clear.
My source is Wikipedia.
Great.
So thank you, Wikipedia.
I'm here for it.
I know.
Let's go.
So the Bell Witch, or the Bell Witch haunting, is a legend from southern United States folklore centered on the 19th century Bell family of northwest Robertson County, Tennessee. Farmer John Bell Sr. resided with his family along the Red River in an area currently near? I think it's supposed to be near. In an area near the town of Adams. I don't know what happened with that.
Okay.
According to legend, from 1817 to 1821, his family in the local area came under attack by a mostly invisible entity that was able to speak, affect the physical environment, and shapeshift. Some accounts record the spirit also to have been clairvoyant and capable of crossing long distances with superhuman speed.
Shit.
So, like,
this ghost knows shit about you.
Right?
Like, those deep, dark secrets that no one else knows, and it can tell you, and you're like, how do you know that?
And she just goes and finds all these people and just uses her superhuman speed and does shit.
That's cool.
That's ridiculous.
Sweet.
So, like, I don't know if...
I like that it's just the whole area is, like, under attack.
Right?
Like, that's
by
how they
one
phrased
person?
it. Not just, like, being haunted by, but, like, literally under attack.
Yup. She's coming for everybody. So in 1894, newspaper editor Martin V. Ingram published his authenticated history of the Bell Witch. The book is widely regarded as the first full-length record of the legend and a primary source for subsequent treatments. In modern times, some skeptics have regarded Ingram's efforts as works of historical fiction or fraud.
But either way, it's still a good story.
Exactly.
I don't really care.
Pretty great. In Martin's book, he decided to name the poltergeist Kate after the entity claimed at one point to be Old Kate Bates' witch, and continued to respond favorably to the name. So the physical activity centered on the Bell's youngest daughter, Betsy, and her father, and Kate expressed particular displeasure when Betsy became engaged to a local named Joshua Gardner.
Ooh.
So she was just jealous of Betsy because she got a man, and a little Bell Witch couldn't find anybody because she's just a little bitch.
Or maybe they just disapproved of him because he was a dick. I don't know.
Yeah, could be. We'll never know. So the haunting began sometime in 1817 when John Bell witnessed the apparition of a strange creature resembling a dog. Bell fired at the animal, but it disappeared. John's son, Drew Bell, approached an unknown bird perched on a fence that flew off and was of extraordinary size.
Like a really big-ass bird, like bigger than an eagle or something?
That's what I'm assuming.
Like, okay.
Just a really, really big bird.
Interesting.
The daughter, Betsy, observed a girl in green dress swinging from the limb of an oak tree. Dean, a person enslaved by the Bell family, reported being followed by a large black dog on evenings he visited his wife. Activity moved to the Bell household with knocking heard along the doors and walls. The family heard sounds of gnawing on the beds, invisible dog fighting, and chains along the floor.
Ew, that's
Like
so many things.
Right?
Why
It's
are
like
there so
hell
many?
coming up to Earth.
I was gonna say, to me, it feels like they're being stalked by like a vampire.
Yeah.
Because like in legends, vampires can like shapeshift into different animal forms who like do their bidding or whatever. And to me, it just sounds like they have a freaking vampire problem. Like,
Most likely.
with dogs and birds and shit. Like
just chains rattling, dogs fighting.
Yeah, I don't know about the chains. That one's
The dogs
weird.
could be on chains.
Yeah.
They could be hellhounds
Okay.
coming for 'em.
Yep, I can see that.
in chains.
Yep.
About this time, John Bell began experiencing paralysis in his mouth.
Oh.
So just mouth going numb, can't move it, nothing.
Maybe you got a neurological issue,
Right?
John.
Exactly. The phenomena grew intensely as sheets were pulled from the beds when the children slept. Soon the entity pulled hair and scratched the children, with particular emphasis on Betsy,
Oh, shit.
who was slapped, pinched, and stuck with pins.
Ow!
Like, what did Betsy ever do to you?
She got engaged to a dude and everyone got pissed about it.
Like, this poor girl. She's just trying to live her life and she's just getting annihilated.
Getting pinched and slapped and stuck with needles.
Seriously.
Who else was claiming, was it for the original Conjuring house, was it the guy, or was it the Haunting in Connecticut house where people felt like they were getting like stuck with needles?
Oh, I don't remember.
Someone got stabbed with a sewing needle. I'm pretty sure I remember talking about
that. Sounds familiar.
Yeah,
I don't know who.
Man.
Yeah.
You and your pointy objects.
I know, right?
Bitches.
Rude. So the Bells turned to family friend James Johnston for help. After retiring for the evening at the Bell home, Johnston was awakened that night by the same phenomena.
Uh-oh.
That morning, he told John Bell it was a, in quotes, spirit just like in the Bible, end quote. I don't know what
the fuck
spirit
does that mean?
in the Bible.
Like the Holy
Spirit?
I
don't know. I'm not very well versed in my spiritual...
Well... How do you...
Spirits from the Bible?
How do you know it's like a biblical spirit?
Right.
Maybe there's a very specific passage in Scripture that describes a spirit that does things like this, but that seems like weird to be in the Bible. I don't know.
Yeah. So I'm not sure. So soon word of the haunting spread, with some traveling great distances to see the witch. The apparition began to speak out loud and was asked, in quotes, "Who are you and what do you want?" end quotes. And the voice answered feebly, "I am a spirit. I was once very happy, but have been disturbed."
Uh-oh.
The spirit offered diverse explanations of why it had appeared, tying its origin to the disturbance of a Native American burial mound.
Of course.
Located on the property.
Burial.
And sent Drew Bell and Bennett Porter on an unproductive search for buried treasure, meaning a buried
like body
burial ground, like trying to find the Native American
burial ground. I don't know if I'd call that
ground.
Treasure.
Right?
That's a strange way of putting it.
I know, I read that sentence, I was like, what?
I don't know if that's a treasure hunt.
I don't think dead bodies are treasures, so...
I mean, it's just a weird way of putting it, that's all. Okay.
Yes.
All right, I'll try
Wikipedia,
to get
your
past
shit
that.
together.
Yeah, who crowdsourced that part of the article and wrote that in there?
With the emergence of full conversations, the spirit repeated word for word 2 sermons given 13 miles apart at the same time.
Shut up!
Yep.
What?
The entity was well acquainted with a biblical text and appeared to enjoy religious arguments.
Maybe it is a spirit from the Bible.
Going back and forth arguing the Bible.
Oh, okay.
So, you know...
that seems weird to me, though, if she's all pissed about, like, Native American burial grounds being disturbed, but then she's, like, super well-versed in the Bible and is, like, anchoring to Christian beliefs, when I guess I don't know how many, like, Native Americans would have converted to Christianity, but I feel like that's different... They probably wouldn't? Yeah, I feel like that's just probably a different kind of spirit would be involved if that's the case. Or maybe she's just a Christian onlooker who just happens to be angry on behalf of the Native Americans in the burial ground who were disturbed, but... that could be. I'm just sensing, like, a weird disconnect there. Right. I don't know. A little odd. So, as another amusement, the witch shared gossip about activities in other households, and at times appeared to leave for brief moments to visit homes. What a bitch! So she's just like this little social, gossipy little nosy bitch. Fucking Nelly. Yeah. Get out of everyone's could you imagine this little ghost just sitting down, chatting with other people, seeing what's going on? Like, I'm picturing, like, this lady floating in through the, like, wall into someone's living room and be like, by the way, your husband's cheating on you, and then just piecing out and just leaving you to deal with the aftermath. I'm like, wait, what? Like, who are you? Cheating? What? What just happened? That'd be so weird. So, John Johnston, a son of James, devised a test for the witch, something no one outside of his family would know, asking the entity what his Dutch step-grandmother in North Carolina would say to the slaves if she thought they did something wrong. So she's testing super fucking specific. What would happen? The witch replied with his grandmother's accent, "Hut tut, what has happened now?" And I'm assuming that's what she would say. Ew. I don't know what kind of accent she had, and I wasn't going to try it. No, I appreciate just the straight recitation without any attempted accents. I should have, because it would have been really good. Do you want to try it? No. Okay. I'm already on the spot now, so it's just going to be we'll just move past it. Bullshit. Unlike the rest of this podcast, you mean? Exactly. Then the witch suddenly began to mimic his English parents. One morning, the witch woke him to the voices of his parents, worried as they heard his voice as well.
So he's hearing his parents' voices while his parents are hearing his voice.
She's like a parrot.
Yeah, so she's just going back and forth.
Mimics everybody.
Exactly. So the Englishman quickly left that morning and later wrote to the Bell family that the entity had visited his family in England and he apologized for his skepticism because he was very skeptic of this witch.
She fucking followed him all the way to England?
Uh-huh.
Wow.
Yep.
Wow.
I know.
She's got nothing better to do.
Just going everywhere. It's ridiculous. So at times, the spirit displayed a form of kindness, especially towards Lucy, who is John Bell's wife. Aww. The most perfect woman to walk the earth.
Oh, how sweet.
Right?
Just like my cat.
Oh, the babes. The witch would give Lucy fresh fruit and sing hymns to her.
Wow.
And show John Bell Jr. a measure of respect. Referring to John Bell Sr. as Old Jack, the witch claimed she intended to kill him and signaled this intention through curses, threats, and afflictions. Ooh. The story climaxes with John being poisoned by the witch. Afterwards, the entity interrupted the mourners by singing drinking songs. Like, she is, like, the most bipolar entity witch on fucking planet Earth.
Is it bad if I feel like this witch is the embodiment of what you would be like as a fucking spirit? Just going around starting fires, like, getting in everyone's
That is exactly
shit.
what I would do, just causing trouble everywhere.
Mayhem, causing gossip, afflicting people with shit, singing drinking songs at the fucking funeral. Like, oh my God.
That sounds like my perfect afterlife.
Oh my God. And then you'd be like really nice to the people who deserve to be nice to you. And then everyone else
nice
you'd be
to
like,
the people I like, and all the other people who fucking piss me off. Sorry, bye, bitch.
That seriously
coming at you.
I've been thinking that this whole time. Like, this is literally you as a ghost.
It's perfect.
That's amazing.
I am the Bell Witch.
Do we know if this witch was like living, or was she just truly like a spirit?
What was it? There's a story that I think this person, I honestly, I don't know. Mm-hmm. I feel like I want to say that she was a neighbor or someone who knew the Bell family and shit happened.
And she just had like supernatural powers from being a witch, so she was like making herself invisible and like a spirit?
I think so. There really wasn't a lot of background on who she is specifically.
Yeah, that's fair. And again, conflicting stories. There's like 100 different versions of this legend, so
many of them.
Oh man, a picture of her like laughing and singing drinking songs at a funeral just to be a dick. Just rub some salt in the wound.
Yep. It'd be perfect.
So funny.
So in 1821, as a result of the witch's entreatment, Betsy Bell called off her engagement to Joshua Gardner.
Oh, no.
Yep.
She finally got harassed to the point where she gave in.
She was just done. Subsequently, the entity told the family it was going to leave, but return in 7 years in 1828. The witch returned on time to Lucy and her son Richard and Joel, with similar activities as before, but they chose not to encourage it, and the witch appeared to leave again. So the manuscript attributed to Richard William Bells, he wrote that the spirit remained a mystery, and this is all in quotes. Whether it was witchery, such as afflicted people in past centuries in the darker ages, whether some gifted fiend of hellish nature practicing sorcery for selfish enjoyment, or some more modern science akin to that of mesmerism. Mesmerism?
What's that?
I don't know.
I don't either. Damn.
So go
someone tell us what it means.
Or some hobgoblin native to the wilds of the country.
Fucking hobgoblin.
Or a disembodied soul shut out from heaven, or an evil spirit like those Paul drove out of the man into the swine, setting them mad. That sentence makes no sense.
So it could be this or that or this or that or this other thing or possibly this thing.
Yeah, or it could be a demon let loose from hell. I'm unable to decide.
Oh.
Nor has anyone yet divined its nature or cause for appearing, and I trust this description of the monster in all forms and shapes and of many tongues will lead experts who may come with wiser generation to a correct conclusion and satisfactory explanation.
Well.
Was said by Williams Bell in Authenticated History of the Bell Witch in Chapter 8.
Holy God.
There it is.
There it is.
That's what I got for you.
Are you happy to be done talking now?
I just can't fucking make words tonight. It's ridiculous.
Making words is hard.
Holy banana.
Okay. Sure. Let us get into some of the things that happened after the legend and the original hauntings subsided, shall we?
Yes, we shall.
So like, basically after the original story ended, there's like these periodic times throughout the following centuries where stuff happens and people attribute it to the Bell Witch. And again, of course, like, none of this is really proven or substantiated in any way, but it's like, oh, this crazy shit that is happening and we can't explain it. It must be the Bell Witch. So
of course,
I'm going to talk about some of that shit.
Oh, good.
So in September, and of course, too, I should say, this is a very much, like, abbreviated list. There's fucking 9,000 pages on Wikipedia of all the shit that followed.
Oh my God, there's so much
and some
shit.
of it is super, like, loosely connected and just didn't feel worth talking about, and I didn't want to talk about it for 7 hours, so I trimmed it down to the ones that I thought were interesting.
Perfect.
So this is not comprehensive. My sources were Wikipedia, themoonlitroad.com, al.com, and tennesseehistory.org.
Ooh. You got them 3 sources.
I got 4 sources.
Oh, 4 sources. Anna, do your math.
It's okay. It's cool. You can turn your brain off now because you're done talking.
Yes,
so,
perfect.
Yes. Okay, so 1800s. This is going to be all the stuff that I thought was interesting from the 1800s. So, in September 1868, an article was published entitled, quote, Witchcraft and Murder, Hobgoblins and Old Grey Horses.
Hobgoblins!
The Incentive to Crime.
Oh.
Yeah, Hobgoblins strike again.
Yes, they do.
Something
name of our episode.
Never thought I would say in my whole life, and it's got to be the episode name now. That's awesome. Then the sequel can be Hobgoblins Strike Back.
Yes!
Hobgoblins, the final chapter. Oh my God.
That sounds amazing.
Okay.
Oh gosh.
Okay. So, Tom Clinard and Dick Burgess, who were arrested for the murder of a person named Mr. Smith in 1868.
You got the most 2 ridiculous names than
Mr. Smith.
Mr. Smith.
There was some more shit about these guys that I didn't bother to copy paste into my notes, so whatever. Mr. Smith gets murdered.
Cool.
The article reported that Smith claimed the powers of witchcraft were at play while working near Adams Station, chopping wood on a farm with the defendants. So that would be Clinard and Burgess. The article stated that Smith claimed to use these occult powers on Clinard and Burgess, leading to the conflict between them. So Smith essentially starts exhibiting these witchcraft-like powers, and the other 2 guys are like, "Oh, what's going on? We gotta kill him!" Oh! And then they kill him, and that's their freaking defense.
Good.
Yep.
Perfect.
Which makes complete sense.
Right.
So that led to the conflict that ultimately led to the death of Mr. Smith. The identity of the decedent was reported variously as either James or Charles Smith, which is why they called him Mr. Smith, because they don't actually fucking know his name, I guess. Good. How
do you not
I mean, I don't know. Poor record keeping in 1868. I don't know.
Probably didn't care.
So the jury in this case ultimately returned a not guilty verdict. But what's interesting is, so there's this woman named Lucinda Rawls who wrote an authenticated history of the Bell Witch, and I think was the same book that you referenced earlier. Yes. Okay. So this was from chapter 12, and she says, quote, "The Bell Witch was and still is a great scapegoat. Every circumstance out of the regular order of things is attributed to the witch. It has not been long since a man claiming to be the witch was waylaid and murdered by 2 men who were cleared on the plea that the murdered man had bewitched them." So that was that murder trial where essentially they blamed the Bell Witch for the guy bewitching them, and then they killed him or some ridiculous bullshit.
Oh my Lanta.
Seems like a great excuse to murder someone. Be like, the witch made me do it.
Of course, because back then witches were just fucking running rampant, and so why not just blame it on a witch?
Everyone knows that witches were everywhere. Their heyday was in the 1800s.
Seriously.
Some good times. Okay, so later in the 1800s, on April 24th, 1880, an article was published regarding a haunted house in Springfield, Tennessee, where knocking underneath the floor was heard. The fourth night of knockings began at 10:30 p.m. and ended at 4 a.m.
Jesus.
So for freaking
so
5.5 hours, it's just knocking.
God.
With the home surrounded by a team of 10 to 12 persons working in an effort to discover the origin of the sound. So I don't know if they just got their friends and neighbors to come over and be like, okay, guys, we're going to tag team this shit and figure out where it's coming from.
Find out where this knocking is.
And they couldn't, which is hilarious.
That's awesome.
So in a follow-up report from April 26th, 1880, so 2 days later, the writer reported that several hundred people had visited the home attempting to witness the phenomenon, with many camped out overnight, despite the homeowners asking them to leave. So, like, that would be us, like, paranormal groupies being like, what? You got haunted shit going down? I'm like, come camp outside of your house.
Let's go.
On that Wednesday night, April 28th, the family were reported to have left the home for the night, and a smaller group of investigators around the home heard knocking from up to 50 yards away.
Jesus.
During the events, the journalist took the opportunity to mention the Bell Witch, of course. So, quote, "It is an actual fact that several hundred intelligent people of Springfield and the vicinity have been so excited over the noise as to go night after night to listen to it. About 30 years ago..."
Knocking!
Yeah.
God.
I mean, but like no one...
I suppose back then you got really nothing to do.
No one knows where it's coming from. And it went on for hours. They're like, what? It's just like real life evidence of the paranormal, like right there, I guess. I mean, maybe there's some rational explanation, but so this reporter goes on to say, about 30 years ago, Robertson County had a sensation similar to this known as the Bell Witch, and people came from all parts of the country, even as far as New York, to see or hear her. So essentially they assumed that it was the Bell Witch, of course, coming to do this as well, since there was a similar event, like you mentioned. Mm-hmm. So the knocking in Springfield occurred at the residence of John W. Knuckles, a prominent physician. Knuckles was recently married to Laura Hopkins Jones, a union opposed by her family. Does that sound familiar?
Weird.
People don't like those getting married girls. The phenomenon created a domestic disturbance between the couple as a local carpenter accused Laura Knuckles of creating the noise with an iron ball attached to a rubber belt behind her clothes. What the fuck does that even mean?
Why would you? I don't know. Why would you do that?
She's, I guess, pissed about her relationship, so she goes beating on the house for 6 hours.
I guess so.
That makes no sense at all. Robertson County historian Yolanda Reed states that they, quote, came to the conclusion that his wife was tying it to the bottom of her skirt to make the sounds, but nobody ever proved it. I don't know. So, the couple then separated that following May.
Oh, okay.
That August, John Knuckles retrieved his infant child from his wife, running through town with the estranged wife following in anguish. So he freaking kidnaps the baby and runs. Afterward, the child was returned to Laura, who was living with her father, Asa? John Knuckles, in February 1882, confronted Laura's father over his desire to see the child, threatened his father-in-law's life. During the argument, the subject of ghosts between the men was reported by an eyewitness as Knuckles attempted to shoot Hopkins, but was restrained. So essentially, like, he goes and, like, picks this giant fight with his father-in-law, and they start talking about ghosts, and that comes into the conversation because...
we're just gonna shoot you because ghosts.
Because ghosts.
Got it.
So then so the next day, as a result of this confrontation, Knuckles' brother-in-law traveled from Nashville and shot Knuckles with a double-barreled shotgun, causing his death.
So aggressive.
And the guy got acquitted of murder.
Oh, good.
Because of the circumstances of the shooting, which to me sounds like a bunch of dudes bitching over who gets the child, and ghosts came up, and then someone gets shot with a shotgun.
Could you imagine how in, like, today, if we would handle how things used to be handled back in the 1800s?
Yeah. You got a bone to pick with someone, you don't take them to court, you just show up with a shotgun and scream at them.
Right? Like,
and if you can't reach a consensus, you shoot them in the face.
What
a time to be alive.
Dealing with stuff like that in such a barbaric way.
Yeah.
Is ridiculous.
I mean, it's not to say that doesn't happen today. It totally does. But yeah, it just, I guess, seemed more commonplace. Okay, so there was that whole debacle. There may or may not have been a ghost involved. It may or may not have been a woman with rubber balls tied to a belt. I don't really know. Could have been a witch. Could have not. You tell us.
Them rubber balls swinging.
I love my dangling ball sacks banging on the floor.
floor
knocking all night long. It's a good time.
I love it so much.
All right.
Oh,
so there's that
gosh.
one. And again, I'm not claiming to really know the answer to any of these stories. I'm just telling it exactly how it was written from Wikipedia.
Exactly.
So skip forward to the 1890s. So, the week of January 20th, 1890, hundreds of persons were reported to have visited a house 2.5 miles east of Hopkinsville, Kentucky, as word spread of, get this, coal mysteriously falling from the ceiling.
Oh, I read something. I read something like that.
Yeah. All the bizarre,
it's fucking weird.
strange things, like coal falling from a ceiling.
It's fucking weird.
So
weird.
The house was occupied by a prominent minister of the Cumberland Presbyterian Church, his wife, stepdaughter Belle Hall, as well as an unnamed 16-year-old female servant. So it was W.G.L. Quate was the minister, and then his wife was Mrs. Quate, who was injured as a piece of coal struck her on top of the head, and she required medical attention.
That's so aggressive.
It's just falling from the ceiling, and she gets smacked in the head.
Poor girl.
An early report suggested that the servant girl was a potential suspect, while stating that the superstitious were invoking a connection to the Bell Witches of Robertson County. The frequency of the cold drops declined by the end of the week.
Oh, good.
Reverend Quate attributed supernatural agency to the activity and was praying in the evening in an effort to solve the mystery, which I guess just fucking stopped as suddenly as it started, and then no one knew where it came from. How do you not figure out where the fuck falling coal from your ceiling comes from?
Like, exactly.
It either comes
like
from your floor or it doesn't. Like,
yeah.
what? I don't, yeah. An article in February 3rd, 1890 was published describing a series of events from Adams Station, Tennessee. So, like, all this stuff is just popping up all over little pockets in the South. Mm-hmm. So, at dusk, January 27th, Mr. Holloway reported watching two unknown women arrive at his home and dismount from their horses as he was feeding the cattle. When he arrived at the house, the horses and women were gone.
No!
Mr. Holloway...
Oh, we got some ghost horses.
Ghost woman and their ghosty horses. Mm-hmm. Mr. Holloway's wife reported seeing the women in the yard as well. That week, Mr. Rowland attempted to place a sack of corn on his horse's back, and it fell off.
Whoa.
So scary. He again attempted to place the sack of corn on the horse's back several more times, but each time it fell off.
Oh, shit.
So scary.
So scary.
Joe Johnson. Who the fuck is Joe Johnson?
Joe Johnson.
So this
Such
might
a
have been
generic name.
For real. Okay, so this might have been like a neighbor or a friend. A guy named Joe Johnson arrived and held onto the sack of corn as Mr. Rowland mounted his horse. They witnessed the sack floating away for 20 yards.
What?
Where it settled down at a fence.
Like, I just wonder if these people back then just
were on drugs?
Like, drugs or some sort of mental illness. Like, some of these things.
Yeah.
Like,
well, that's not all, because after
good.
the sack floated away for 20 yards, and then it fell to the ground and sat down, the men went to retrieve it, and a voice was heard saying, quote, "You won't touch this sack anymore." The fuck? This is the biggest what the fuck moment of every scary haunting we've ever heard is a fucking floating corn sack.
You will not take this sack.
No, you will not touch it.
Oh, sorry, you will not touch it. You
cannot
can't touch this
it.
floating corn sack.
Everyone knows that a witch's most favorite and sacred object is a corn sack.
God.
It's cursed forever. You will never touch it again.
What the fuck is going on?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah, it's bizarre. So... A follow-up report was published on February 18th, 1890, with the title, "A Weird Witch, More Tales of Mulhattonish Flavor from Adams Station."
Mulhattonish?
Mulhattonish.
What does that even mean?
I have no clue.
Okay.
Okay. Sorry, I forgot I wrote this down. In the late 19th century, Joseph Mulhatton was a known hoaxer of newspaper articles.
Oh, so it's a hoax.
Yes, that's what people wrote about anyway. The article was republished a few days later with the subtitle, "More Tales of a Fishy Flavor." So people think it was just...
flavor.
Yeah,
God.
So people are basically thinking it was like a big hoax. The article reports that Mr. Johnson was visiting Buck Smith and were discussing a recent visitation of a ghost at his home. Nope, sorry. So, yeah, in the More Tales of a Fishy Flavor article, the entity was referred to only as the witch, not necessarily the Bell Witch, but that's what's being implied is it's the Bell Witch. So this article reports that Mr. Johnson was visiting someone named Buck Smith, and they were discussing a recent visitation of a ghost at his home. While they were talking, they heard a knocking at the door, and when they opened the door, the knocking began at another door. They sat down, and their dog began to fight with something invisible. Very similar to the dog fighting thing you mentioned.
Yep.
2 minutes later, the door flew open and fire spread across the room, blown by a cyclonic wind with the coals disappearing as they tried to put it out.
That's so intense.
And again, with the fucking coal. I don't understand the connection.
Why does this witch like coal?
I don't know.
What's going on?
That she has a coal fetish, I guess.
So.
She just
Sounds like
burning things on fire. That evening, Mr. Johnson started home on his horse and something jumped on the back, grabbing his shoulder as he tried to restrain his horse. He felt it jump off as he neared his home and move in the leaves into the woods.
Oh.
Just pieced out. All right. So fast forward to 1912. There's another series of events that happen that people attribute to the witch. So again, the original tale takes place almost a century before, but later in Alabama, people were wondering if the witch had come to haunt them. There were newspaper accounts suggesting that the witch crossed the state line over from Tennessee to Alabama in one of her supernatural forms, that of a wolf-like creature.
Oh.
In February 1912, residents in Lauderdale County, Alabama, began seeing a strange animal that resembled a dog but had a high-pitched scream.
Oh, God, that's
which
terrifying.
Sounds fucking terrifying.
Jeez.
Several newspapers published accounts of the sightings, and at least one, the Montgomery Advertiser, posited the theory that the animal was a form of the Bell Witch. According to ExploreSouthernHistory.com, the article appeared on February 24th, 1912, with the headline, quote, "Bell Witch with terrifying scream abroad in Lauderdale."
Oh.
She's just on a spree.
Just going.
The article said, "The Bell Witch, which many years ago brought terror and destruction to an East Tennessee family, has reappeared, this time in Blackburn Beat, this Lauderdale County, according to the belief of some residents of that place." I don't know what that sentence means.
Oh.
That was confusing. Okay, so basically a strange animal is seen roaming in that section which resembles a large dog, but the most terrifying part of it is its scream. This can be heard for a mile away or more.
Holy shit.
And resembles the scream of a woman in terror.
Oh.
The animal is reddish-brown color with a white streak about its throat. Few have seen it, but many have heard it, and the boldest are afraid to be abroad after dark.
Be a red fox.
Yeah,
Red foxes scream like a lady.
They for sure do.
And it's terrifying.
But also foxes don't look like large dogs. I mean, I feel like anyone who knows anything about...
Right, but they have like a red back with a white stripe going down their chest.
That's true.
And back then they could look larger. Maybe they were a little bit bigger than what they are now.
That's true. There was a really interesting story I heard recently about this like town in, I think it was in France back in like the 16 or 1700s where this area was being ravaged by this large dog-like animal that everyone described as being like way larger than any other wild dog they'd ever seen, and people were like convinced it was a werewolf, and it kept killing people and like eviscerating them, like their guts were like torn out, and it was targeting specifically like women. So people were confused because they're like, what the hell? There's like this creepy creature and it's like only attacking women and they're getting like eviscerated, which is just like super weird for like a wild dog. And no one actually knows what it was. Like most people just say it was probably some sort of like this animal or this type of dog or whatever. And some people think it was a serial killer dressed up in like an animal skin pretending to be a dog or whatever. But it was like this period of, I think like 40 years or something went by and like so many attacks happened. And it was just this weird, like mysterious dog creature.
Oh shit.
Yeah. It was an interesting story.
Weird.
So, yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. So the article said that, So in April, the mystery of the creature would be solved for the most part because an article published on April 12th said that they reported that the wild varmint was killed. The article said a local man named Plumber Daniels. Oh my God, his first name is Plumber? That's so unfortunate.
That's so bad.
Killed the animal as it was being attacked by Daniels' dog. This time the story said, quote, "It looked like a dog but was not exactly one. It was an aged creature." Mr. Daniels reports that its growl was something startling and shook the very ground with its roar.
Oh.
Something supernatural.
Yeah.
Okay. One more haunting, 1937, and then we'll
Perfect.
get closer to today, and then we'll wrap her up. Okay. So I wrote 1397. That's not right.
That's wrong.
In January of 1937, journalist T.H. Alexander shared a startling fact that his writing partner, Ben Bass, unearthed during their research for a magazine feature on the Bell Witch. Since its last reported appearance a century ago, the famous poltergeist of Tennessee was, quote, practically certain to return to this earth in this good year, 1937.
Oh.
So basically, this is sort of a different version of what you said. So this story says that after 11 years of haunting the original Bell family, that the witch vowed to return in 1828. Mm-hmm. No, sorry. The witch vowed in 1828 to return in 107 years.
Oh.
Not 7 years.
Oh, okay.
So that would have been in 1935. But Alexander's account determined that the ghost departed in 1827 and planned to return 110 years later in 1937. So we have like a 2-year discrepancy.
Huh.
And he's like, my writing partner found evidence that the witch will be back to haunt us this year in 1937. And 4 months later, residents describe a series of eerie incidents to Jack Tucker, a staff correspondent for the Tennessean, which I think was a magazine. Strange noises from Bell Witch Cave, a mysteriously emptied corn sack.
Oh, she's going after
that corn again. Blackouts and broken beds, scattered feathers from unknown chickens.
Okay.
Like people who don't have chickens have
chickens just
feathers.
roaming around everywhere.
So some locals accused the Bell Witch outright. Others were reluctant to name it for fear of retribution.
Oh.
Several spectators from the surrounding counties came to investigate the alleged haunting, including a Hopkinsville magician with plans to spend a night in the haunted cave and capture the ghost on film. Don't know what happened to him.
Uh-oh.
Nothing, apparently.
Probably died.
Other people were like, this is just totally bullshit. They made it up. Because then the town had this big festival. And they were like, it's the year of the witch. Hooray. And everyone was like, can you fucking stop? This is all bullshit.
This is ridiculous.
So not everyone believed that was a thing. But it sounds like it'd be a fun time to be hanging out in that town.
Why not?
So more recent stories of the Bell Witch hauntings and sightings come from the cave, which you mentioned briefly earlier that your coworker was going to go to. So that's on the property, and that part is open for visitors to come, but the original farmhouse was torn down, so that's not standing still, and that's why people come to the cave. So that's where they've kept some of the artifacts and pieces of equipment and tools from the original house are on display in the cave as a museum. So strange noises have been heard in the cave by later owners of the property after the Bells, as well as tourists and journalists. Some have heard what sounds like raspy, asthmatic breathing deep within the dark bowels of the cave. Just
gross. That's disgusting.
Nasty.
I don't like that.
Others have heard groaning or electric buzzing sounds.
That's weird.
And one local reported a high-pitched scream. Thousands of tourists come to the cave each year to try to catch glimpses of the Bell Witch. The owner of the cave, Walter Kirby, says that he's been going into the cave for 27 years and that there's always something paranormal going on inside the cave.
That's cool.
Some visitors claim to have seen the Bell Witch in photos they've taken, with many finding mysterious shadowy figures and, quote, misty faces in the photos from the caves after the photos were processed. Lastly, Scotty Lewis, another visitor, said probably the most interesting would have been in the second cavern. I heard what sounded like an old transistor radio broadcast from when I was a child. It reminded me of Walter Cronkite, who I'm too young to know what that means, but maybe someone does.
Familiar.
Yeah, I feel like I recognize the name vaguely, but I couldn't tell you what it is.
Yeah.
I couldn't tell you what was being said, but you could definitely tell something was being said.
Scary.
So spooker.
So scary.
She's hanging out in the cave.
She's just hanging out there.
She's just chilling.
So,
So, friends.
That's the Bell Witch.
That's a lot of information.
That's
I felt
so
like I
much.
talked for 100 years.
I know. I was so surprised with how much shit there was on this.
I was worried there wasn't going to be enough when you said that you wanted to do the Bell Witch. And I was like, but that just feels like a legend. And I'm like, nope, there's 100,000 things.
Everything.
And I took about 30% of what I found on Wikipedia and left the rest of it. So, yeah, holy shit.
It's ridiculous. So that's the Bell Witch.
I hope you liked it.
If you're ever in Tennessee and going to the Bell Cave,
go to the cave.
Let us know.
For real.
Mary, get your shit together.
Yeah, Mary.
And go there again, because she goes to Tennessee every year.
Also, thanks for the recommendation.
Yes, thank you.
It.
We love it.
So, guys, for our craft cocktail cult, we have something a little different tonight.
We were talking, and we're like, what should we do for our next beverage? Because we didn't have anything, and this is what always happens to us, is we have nothing when we sit down to record.
Then we have to pick something that we've made in the last week or two and be like, oh yeah, let's do that one.
Yeah. And so I showed Annie this, and she's like, yeah, let's just do it.
So,
and I think it's pretty fucking hilarious.
Yep.
So we really enjoy seltzers.
We do.
Okay. So, White Claws and Trulies are very highly overrated. Okay?
I mean, they're good, but there's so many options now.
Yeah.
I'm enjoying trying out different flavors.
Yeah.
I mean, I really like watermelon White Claw for me is like up there in the top. I love it.
Like White Claw to me, it has this weird like seltzer aftertaste. Where I've had a lot of other seltzers that are just a lot better and don't have that weirdness.
A little bit smoother.
Yeah. Like Bud Lights. I will take a Bud Light seltzer over White Claw
except for the lemon lime. The lemon lime tastes like pee.
That's shit. You have to get the black cherry because it's fucking delicious.
It is delicious. Yes. But black cherry anything is delicious.
It is.
It's not hard to make that flavor amazing.
Yeah.
But.
So we were at the liquor store today getting all of our liquor that we need for the night. And we found the
Press
Premium seltzers.
Premium alcohol seltzer. You guys, the box is so...
It's so smooth.
I just want to touch it all day.
It's just like the nicest cardboard box.
It's like that kind of like waxy, super high quality feeling cardboard that's like really smooth. And you're like, oh shit, this is going to be a high quality drink.
And so you feel like you're having like this fancy beverage out of a can.
Yeah.
And then you pull it out and this can is just all white.
And they have such flavors as lingonberry elderflower.
And pear chamomile.
And pineapple basil.
And apple cinnamon.
Which the Bud Light ugly sweater version of apple pie
was
apple
crisp.
Yeah, that was disgusting.
That was terrible.
Apple cinnamon
It was
really good.
It was really good.
I was surprised.
Yeah.
That I liked it.
I have drank 2 pear chamomiles and they are fucking delicious.
So instead of like an actual drink recipe, what you're getting from us is instead a recommendation for a beverage that we think you might like.
Yes.
Friends, just do it. We're just taking a little break from recipes this week.
Try Press. These things, they're so flavorful.
Yeah, they are really flavorful.
They don't
delicious.
taste like your normal seltzer.
No.
Like the pear chamomile, it kind of tastes like a toned down ginger ale.
Yeah.
Or there's a pear, I think this is what I'm thinking of. It's a pear nectarine Red Bull.
Oh.
And this tastes very similar to it. Yes.
Oh, I didn't know they made like different flavors of Red Bull.
Oh God, yeah. So, but yeah, fucking try this shit because they have another variety pack of 4 other flavors.
Yeah, there was like a grapefruit ginger, I think.
Yeah.
And
was there
no, it was pomegranate ginger maybe.
I think they had a grapefruit though.
They did have a grapefruit. There was a pomegranate one. Then there was a blackberry. I don't know.
Okay.
It all sounded delicious. Yeah, we had a hard time picking one. So
these are fucking good.
So this is your PSA to everyone. Go if
buy
you're
some Press.
of legal age. Go buy some Press and drink it and tell us what you think.
It's so good.
In the meantime, friends, if you have any stories of anything scary or paranormal that have happened to you, we want to hear about it. Or if you've been to any of the freaking 70,000 places we've talked about, or have had any close encounters with someone who knows a serial killer, anything of that variety, please let us know.
Let us know.
Send us an email at nightmarenation19@gmail.com.
Or check us out on all the social media platforms, which are just 2. Facebook.
All 2 of them.
Facebook, Nightmare_Nation19, or Instagram, Nightmare.Nation19. Check us out. Like, comment, follow, message, because I like talking to you guys.
She does.
It's super fun.
Anna manages our social media
conversations because I'm pretty cool.
She's pretty cool.
I'm a pretty cool person.
She is pretty cool. That's why I'm doing this podcast with you, is because you're cool.
I know. So I'm doing it with you too.
Yeah. Oh, thank you.
Let us know. Give us suggestions.
Yes, please.
Because we love those.
Keep those coming. So thanks again, Mary.
Yeah, thank you.
That's the best.
That's so great.
And friends, please, if you want to get involved in the paranormal in the meantime, do all those other things we mentioned. Yeah. But please do not, for the love of God.
Fucking ball sacks.
Don't fuck ball sacks.
Don't fuck ball sacks. You also can't do that. I think that'd be quite difficult.
Yes, but that's a whole other story.
Yep,
unless it's like the rubber swing-schwanging balls that we talked about earlier. It doesn't sound pleasant to me. But what sounds even less pleasant is using a Ouija board and having a seance. Don't do it.
Don't be fucking dumb.
Don't do it.
Just don't bring the devil into your life. On that note,
friends, Don't use a Ouija board. Don't have a seance.
And just be safe.
Be safe.
Yeah. Just
okay,
do that.
friends.
Okay.
Until next time.
Bye.
Bye.